Hey everyone, welcome to the new Guitars Plus YouTube channel. We've taken over the store back in April, and now we're finally getting into some media and creation content stuff that we're going to be showcasing here in the store.
So is that 6 months we've been doing this now?
Yeah, I took over April 1st, the Day of Fools, so that was foreboding. But no, I mean, I think he came on in early May, and then it's just been nuts ever since. So
we've kind of tried to keep everything that was good the same, and then but also move, like you say, into this, we're obviously just getting to YouTube now, but we've been doing, Reverb sales, which have been doing well for the store. I think people like to buy from a store that is kind of established, has a bit of a reputation already, and also yourself as a builder, people also trust your reputation of, knowing how to get a guitar safely to them. And
yeah, I think so. I mean, it's definitely been a dynamic in the shop. Like, people come in, and I don't know. It's funny. It's being a modern luthier. You never meet your customers. It's an email. Like, I don't even hear their voice. I don't even know what they look like in a lot of cases. So that's been like a huge shift for me. And then out of the woodwork, people come to the shop here and like, oh, I've been following you for years. And it's like, I don't know who you are, and they know me out of the gate because we've done some YouTube in our old shop and stuff. And that's been a huge change. That's been one of the main surprising ones for me.
Yeah.
What's been like the biggest, I don't know, not difficulty or surprise that you've seen? Like, oh, I didn't expect that at working at a guitar shop.
There's no objectively good or right answer for guitar players. You know what I mean? Like, there's always there's more than one way to go about it, and there's lots of different interests in terms of what people are into for guitar styles, amp styles, things like that. And so things that I would think are objectively not good pieces of gear or objectively not good guitars are somebody's favorite guitars. I'm learning about other types of gear that I would have never sort of given the time of day to before.
Yep.
And it's kind of made me more effective, I guess, at my job by learning, okay, what do these types of players gravitate towards, and why, and why is it that some players do and don't.
Yeah.
So
one of the big surprising things that I've found here is you can't assume anything from anyone. We get all types walking through the door here. It's you'll get someone in a 3-piece suit who is just coming from a wedding, and they'll it's like, oh wow, looks like they own 10 Les Pauls and can fly up and down and they can barely plunk out a chord, kind of thing.
Right.
And that's fine, but it's just unassuming.
Yeah.
You get a guy who looks like he'd be better suited on a crab fishing boat or something like that, and you're like, why is he playing like avant-garde jazz fusion? Like, it's like, I did not expect that from that guy or gal or whoever. All right, Colton, what are we looking at here?
This is a Hondo Death Dagger. Now, this is a bit of a relic of the past. I got to be very careful not to kill you with this as I talk about it and move it around. This is the neck-through version, which is pretty cool. You don't see these a lot. They came mostly as bolt-ons. They were not particularly expensive guitars back in the day. And if you can believe it, they didn't stay in production for very long. What do you think, like, as a builder, like, how much of a nightmare would this be to make something like this with these kind of angles?
Well, I mean, like, it's got good competition with a can opener. Like, so you look at like. So how you build this is, like, you've got your neck through, you've got one big beam, probably of maple, right? And then all of these extra points are just laminations and glue joints. So it's actually kind of amazing to see one like in this decent condition while the tip's still intact. But like, all of these this would snap off, this would snap off, this should snap off, that should snap off. There's probably 3 or 4 glue joints just to get that wing up there.
Right.
And I mean, also just like, I mean, the thing to see in person is the heel. Like, the big old chonky heel.
It kind of joins it like fret like 13 or 12 or something like that. Yeah. So it's funny because it's, it kind of looks like a guitar that you would want to play pretty fast on, but really it's like bigger than any Les Paul neck once you get past fret 12, which is kind of where you do all your, your soloing. So
right, but why do we like this guitar?
I think it's just so unapologetic, and it's also just rare to find one, in such good condition. I really like pointy guitars myself, but I mean, maybe not this pointy, but something you kind of accept when you're looking at those guitars is that most of them do have some kind of tip damage, and this one is like ludicrously clean. I can't remember who we got it from, but he basically had it in his closet for
out in a trailer park, under a bed, just like got it from a buddy kind of story. Like it's one of those sort of things. Oh my God. Comes with a fitted case, which is really nice because you're never going to find another one like it.
Yeah.
And like Colton says, the pointy guitars, whether it's a Hondo Death Dagger or V's, X's, anything like that, like the tips always go, right? Yeah. So if the tips are good, then the guitar is about as good condition as it can be.
I think if you know what this guitar is, and you're kind of already looking for one anyway. So this is a pretty exceptional one. I think this would also be a pretty killer like mod project because like if I'm honest, like the price of entry really is just like the shape and how clean it is.
Yeah.
But really, it's like this pickup is kind of the quintessential, like it's the thing you always hear about people talk about with like ice picky and like because it's like it's actually kind of a lower output but definitely ceramic magnet pickup, so it just it's like and it if you look at it funny, it kind of goes out of tune. So
it's I like the pointiness of it all is kind of absurd, and that's kind of the fun of it, but like everyone looks at it when they stop by the window if they don't know anything about guitar, because the cool thing about electric guitars is that you can build any shape you want, and this is just kind of taking that to the extreme.
Right.
And it invites someone to play it, right? It's just like, what is this? And you want to pull it off the wall. So that's where this guitar excels, and a couple of mods would make this thing killer.
Yeah. So I'll play it for a second.
Let's hear it.
Yeah. That's the Hondo Death Dagger. Check it out on our Reverb page. It's for sale now. So we've taken over the store at kind of an interesting time in the market, really. The guitar market is changing vastly. Coming off the back of COVID, we saw a huge surge in prices and a huge... At first it was supply chain issues, and then I think it was almost the opposite problem where Fender, for example, was ramping up production to
it was their best year, across the the company's been around since the late 40s, and then it's like 2021, 2022, those were your best years, and it's like, I wonder what happened there.
And now we're seeing I can't recall in the time that I've been alive and playing guitar and focusing on what's coming out, I can't remember a time when there was price reductions coming out, which is what's happening, especially with Fender. Across the board, it seems like there's some of their older models that they've kind of created too many of. They're starting to lower the MSRP. I mean, in a lot of ways, I feel fortunate that we're dealing in primarily used guitars, because I think new, there was a bit of... I mean, some of it is supply issue, but some of it just seemed like, if for example, if the price reductions they're doing now are basically the MSRPs of pre-COVID, it's kind of like, how much of this is being artificially inflated versus how much of it is,
Well, I mean, it's it's always a double-edged sword. It's like, I wish guitars were cheaper. It's like, okay, well, if you want that to occur, you want to have more purchasing power, your dollar to go a bit further, it's your gear's going to be worth less too that you have in your closet.
Yeah.
And that's been something that we've only been in the game for 6 months. We're not going to, some of the guys come in here and Kurt was in the industry for 30, 40 something years.
Yeah.
And so he saw these trends go up and down. We've only got 6 months under here, but we've even just since April have started to see, it's like, oh wow, just between the spring and the fall, we're starting to see kind of the market sort of, and it really depends. Some stuff shoots up, but overall prices are kind of starting to come down. Stuff is still moving. That's not the problem. It's kind of just, it's coming down at a deal, at a price.
Yeah.
And
everybody wants a deal.
Everyone wants a deal.
Yeah.
And it's been which is good because people are saving money, but it makes it tricky, especially on the new market, for when you've got a minimum advertised price or MRSP, and that the dealer or the manufacturer requires you to hold. It's like, okay, well, that's going to be real tough. So we are, again, like Colton said, we're really lucky kind of here on Vancouver Island. We've got lots of we've got let's just say an older demographic around the island.
Sure. Yeah.
They're downsizing their collections.
Which is great for us.
Yeah. We're kind of one of the last hubs of used and vintage guitars on the island. And we've had a couple of other shops kind of just retire and close down sort of things. So we're seeing a lot of people come in and they're downsizing their gear, they're offloading their gear, pedals, amps, and everything, and they're expecting this, but the market's going to give you this.
Yeah,
and it's
our job to try and help it meet in the middle.
Exactly. Sometimes there's a little bit of, not conflict, but disagreement on things.
Sure. But the proof is that if it's going to sit here for months and months, that's like okay, that's an indication that the prices have changed, the market's changed.
There's got to be a reconnection sort of thing.
We should probably talk about amps a little bit, hey?
We should, because that's kind of actually a great point to jump into, because people were trying to dump a lot of amps at the beginning.
Right.
Like we said, there's a lot of older folks who are just like, I've got this 8x10 stack or this Marshall whatever.
Yeah.
And could you put it on here? Give me $3,000 for that.
Yeah.
And it's like, I was kind of out of the loop a lot because I'm coming from a builder's perspective, and those large amps they're just like, we're seeing them kind of flood the market right now.
I think they still have their like, people still love them. But the tough thing about it, I think it's kind of like a similar scenario to like drum sets almost, where there's kind of two problems, right? The person that you want to connect the amp to, who wants the amp, they might be on the East Coast, or they might be in the States somewhere. And it's like, how are we going to ship a 4x12?
Yeah. The cost of the freight is going to be more than the guitar's worth, or the amp is worth. Right?
And the other thing I think is once either it being like some kind of cultural trend away from big amps, or just again with the economy, maybe people are kind of asking themselves, do I really need this large amp, which by today's standards we're talking like 50 watts is like a big amp, for most people. Like, nobody's really using 100 watt monsters anymore. It's kind of like drum sets in the way where people put it up for sale and they go, I just want it gone. You know what I mean? Because it's just taking up space.
Yeah.
And
I gotta move a treadmill and a Gretsch drum kit. Like, it's like, get it out of here.
Get it out of here. But by the same coin, though, I think we're also noticing that the amps that are retaining their value the best are the ones that people can still use in the house, or they can take to a gig without breaking their back. So, like, I'd say, like, your Princetons, your 1x10, 1x12 combos.
Yeah.
I find that anything kind of louder than 15 watts and anything larger than 1x12 is like, it's a tough sale.
You're starting to see heads with attenuators, like, just built in already, come out the gate. I'm noticing, like, again, I'm not like perfectly up to date on all the amps, but like they want to be seen as a piece of furniture that complements the house too.
Yeah.
It can't just be like a gear, like looks like it was kind of made by the military division over at whatever,
I think that's cool.
Well, I mean, no, I think it's cool sort of thing, but also, I mean, you could probably speak to this more too. Like, you're more of a gigging musician. Like, are you like, well, you're maybe a bad example too. You want to move your giant head.
I do.
And you want to like move air and give the crowd that really like punchy sound that you can only get from just big speakers just pounding. Right?
But when we actually talk to people that come through here who are professionals, in this day and age, it's all about saving money on freight.
Yeah.
You want to be the band that can load in and load out really quick.
Yeah.
And you kind of want that consistent sound from night to night. And honestly, like, as much as I love tube amps and I never want to give up on tube amps, a lot of people are switching to a digital solution in that capacity. Probably should wrap it up there, eh?
Yeah, I think we're going to be doing a lot of different segments kind of now that we've got our YouTube channel up and running. One of them is going to be this kind of banter that Colton and I basically are going to always have in the shop going on, these thoughts that we're always exploring. We're going to kind of check in once in a while, just how the markets are doing and some thoughts on things like that. We're going to be doing a few interviews with some artists around town as well. Victoria has a really talented pool of musicians that I think they don't get enough credit, so we're going to give them a stage to showcase their skills. Colton's going to be doing some demo stuff soon, and I'm going to maybe doing some tech talks. We're seeing how this thing goes. So if you want to see something from us, let us know. We'd love to hear from you guys.
Yeah, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you can see when we drop a new video. And thank you so much for watching. We hope we see you in the store real soon. Take care.
Bye.